Hi everyone, Angus Campbell here. Friday the 17th of February 2022. Or is it the 18th? Anyway, it's Friday. Back on the Rocket 3 top end service, and thanks to those that commented on the last video, or sent me a separate email with observations and advice. It's greatly appreciated, and I think some decisions have already been made. Really, so basically, this needs a rebore. I mean, even in this light, you can see that in the past, I think the engine's been static and unused for some time, and that the original restorer's intentions of cleaning this up with a hone and probably putting new rings in was probably a bit too much of a budget, insufficient budget really. It needed a rebore, so I'm going to go ahead and rebore that. So I've got some pistons on the way, and I've managed to find some new old stock, BSA new old stock genuine pistons plus 40s, and I think that's good because we want to make sure we get rid of as much of the aberration in each bore as we can. And I've known in the past where, with respect to the A70 and eventually having to reline that I mean, that was bad, but this I'm sure will definitely clean out a plus 40, whereas plus 20 you just think, is that enough really? So I'm quite pleased with that. The other thing as well that I've found is that I'm sure that the original compression ratio on this is 9.5 to 1, and other sort of later pattern pistons, even from Hepalite, are 9 to 1, and I'm sure that's not right. So anyway, we're going for the proper BSA pistons with part numbers stamped on, etc. So that's going to be good. So they're on the way, and as soon as they've arrived, we'll arrange to get this rebored, probably at either Richard Darby's or Rustler Racing, one of the two. And then with the head, as we've got this far, we'll take the valves out now, and we'll just examine those. But I've ordered a set of guides, because once the valves are out, it's such an easy job really to get the old guides out and put some new ones in. All we'll need to check is that there's not significant wear on the guides, on the valve stems themselves, which I'm sure that won't be the case. But it'll be interesting to see what this is like. So let's stop waffling on, and we'll get on with getting these valves out. Okay, that's all the valves out, using the old valve spring compressors, no problem. So initial observations: the valve stems themselves don't look to have any wear on them at all, no discernible. You can see the odd mark, but there's nothing to feel whatsoever on those. And in fact, when testing these in the guides themselves, then the left and centre cylinders, were quite snug, but the right hand cylinder certainly was a bit slacker, i.e. side to side play of the stems in the guides. So I'm definitely going to replace the guides, and I've got a set on the way. But the other thing I noticed as well, with respect to the valve spring seats, I mean, we'll check the length of the valve springs as well, but two of them have got that, which looks to me as though it's been something that's been adapted, because it's only roughly ground out and it's not circular versus what it should be. So there's two of them like that. So it just smacks again of, a restoration done on a bloody budget, really. which is annoying. Other than that, as I say, we'll check the free length of those to make sure they're within spec, and if not, we'll replace them. And again, that's easy enough to do. But I will try and get some new valve spring seats. And the other thing that I didn't mention the other day when removing the head is push rods. There's an odd push rod. Now if you look in the parts books and online, then it looks like it should have this style of push rod, whereas I've got a set of 5 of these which look to be better quality, but I can't find any more of this type. So again, if anybody's got any advice with respect to those, then again, that would be very much appreciated and put me on the right track. So again, you know, more evidence of just doing the minimum to get this thing serviceable. I mean, I'm not complaining, because you know, since I've had the bike, the way it's been running, it's been my regular rider, etc. I've been very pleased with it, and overall, certainly cosmetically, it was a good restoration and definitely worth the money. But I'm going to be a lot happier once this is done. And although I've had 1 or 2 comments about, you know, sort of using more modern materials maybe for guides, and other comments regarding perhaps using later rockers and mushroom tablets, etc., then I mean, thanks for the advice, but bearing in mind the sort of mileages that I'll be doing on this until I'm no longer able, then it's probably not going to be necessary, to be honest. Right, next thing then, we'll await the arrival of the pistons and other bits and pieces. I'll get a couple of these what would you call them, spring seats on order, see what they should be, and once those parts arrived, we'll put everything together, start cleaning things up and get the barrels out for reborn, just see what sort of lead time there is on that sort of job. Right everyone, where are we? Thursday the 24th of Feb, possibly. Anyhow, lots to report. So firstly, some parts have arrived. First thing is, I ordered a couple of valve spring seats because we found that 2 of these, I don't know what the hell's been going on, but they're sort of homemade. These are all the bases here, so you can see that's been honed out, that's been hacked out, I should say, by hand, and so is this one, but all the rest are okay. So two new ones, and they're fine, so that's good. Second thing, new old stock pistons have arrived. I could get plus 40s, and to be honest, as I said before, I'm pleased about having plus 40s because that will ensure that we clean everything out from here. I've been liaising a little with Richard Darby of 3D Motorcycles recently for a rebore, and he says I might be over doing it a bit and taking it out to plus 40, but it will ensure we clear all these aberrations here. You can see certainly in the centre, and what's this, the left hand bore, it's bad. And the good news is that I can also get new old stock, and it's 709764 plus 40s. In original boxes, made on the 13th of Jan 71. Fantastic. So we can begin to prepare for a rebore. I'm due to take the barrels and a piston in tomorrow. More about that in a mo. And the final thing is valve guides have arrived. So that's good too. All we're waiting on now are push rods. I've ordered a new set of push rods to be safe. I can't identify these. I've not seen any drawings with this style on them, and you can see, you know, something's, let's try and get that focused a bit. Something's been happening there. What's that been catching on? But they're ridged, and there's several of them like that, plus this odd one, which I think probably is the correct style. But anyway, some new old stock on order, and they should be here within the next day or so. So that's good. So going back to the rebore, I've arranged to take this into a company recommended by Richard Darby at 3D Motorcycles over in Bilston, I think it is, Wolverhampton. Normally I just give this to Richard, but he's going to be away, and he's kindly given me his engineering partner, if you like, who does the rebores for him, and they're going to take it in tomorrow. So that's good. So we've got a bit of prep work to do. So what I'm intending to do today is to prep the barrels, just take off ancillary bits and pieces. I've got the base of the push rod tubes to take off yet, and the seals and all that. You can see this is the culprit that's been leaking, although I've got a funny feeling looking at this from additional observations that this might have been leaking oil from here. There's just, you know, a lot of oil on this gasket, on this head gasket, but we can see, you know, it's definitely been blowing there. And what I've noticed as well in taking the gasket off, which obviously I can't do with one hand, but you'll have to take my word for it, possibly. Come on. Alright, it's not happy. It has been off already. Here we go. Sorry, this isn't very interesting, is it? I don't want to bend it though, because I am going to reuse this, and I'll show you why in a minute. Bingo. Now again, underneath the gasket, a lot of oil, so I just think, you know, there's been a lot of oil blow by in all of the cylinders on this. But what I've also noticed, you can see a bit more clearly now where it's been blowing there, but I've noticed this liner is very slightly proud of the aluminium. The others are alright. Yeah, maybe they are slightly proud too. Yeah, very. So I'll take some advice from the engineers as to whether or not we need to do a little bit of a skim. Perhaps not. I mean, if we anneal the gasket properly, it's very, very slight. We should be able to take that up, and hopefully, you know, all this oil is just indicative of the amount of pressure building up through oil blow by. Anyway, the reason why I mentioned the head gasket is I've got new old stock gasket sets, and I've seen these before. It's not composite, although you can get composite ones now. It's not quite as thick, it's certainly not as thick as the copper one that's on it, and I don't know what material this is, but that was in an original sealed gasket set. So if anybody could just spread some light on this as to what this is, then just for knowledge purposes, I'd be grateful, because I've not seen those before. But I am going to properly re-anneal this, because the gasket itself is in good condition. It's not blown out anywhere. I've seen these where the head gaskets have gone, where they've been, you know, absolutely deformed. So that's that. So to finish off on the barrels, then we'll take out the studs, and we'll clean up the base of the pushrod tubes. They just need and then we'll take that in as is for a rebore tomorrow. And what we'll do now is we'll crack on a little bit with the head, because what I intend to do with this, this isn't blowing very much, so what I intend to do with this is to grind it with glass. We'll do an initial grind and just to get an impression of how low it is and how quickly we manage to flatten this off. I don't think it's going to take much at all. The other thing is we'll take the inlet stubs off, and then we'll do a bit of cleaning up of the domes and as much of the exhaust ports as we can. I've got the wire wheels to do that. I'm not going to be too rough with these though. I don't want to score them up too much. And then we'll get them into the ultrasonic cleaner, get this into the ultrasonic cleaner and give it a good clean. So that's brought us up to date with respect to parts in, what we're going to do, observations on the barrel head and bores, and we'll get on with cleaning up the head now. Right, inlet stubs off, and one thing to remember here is that the stubs should have a Bakelite sort of insulating gasket in between two standard gaskets. You don't get these with gasket sets, so make sure you keep these and don't damage them when you take them off. But the other thing I've noticed as well, that's not round. So this head at some point in its life, when it's probably been rebuilt before, it's been dropped. Look, I don't know whether I can actually reshape that. I mean, it's not critical, but it's not right. We'll see what we can do with that before we might think about ordering another one. And then just another thought as I'm here, as I say, we've got these new valve spring seats to replace these botch ones. I was going to say that maybe the inner spring doesn't seat properly, but it does have the ridge in there to do that, but I don't know about that. Anyway, next thing, clean up the domes a bit and get the head into the ultrasonic cleaning, which is still heating up at the moment. It's 30 litres this, so it takes a bit of time, but kettle on in the meantime. Okay, I've taken the seals cups and the seal cup gasket off each of the cam follower guides on this side. I'm having trouble getting these out, and I don't want to damage these, so I'll leave that up to the engineers when I take them in tomorrow. They'll have the tools to be able to do that. But all the threads are good on the studs, and they still call these studs, but I call them shoulder studs, I suppose. But threads are good on that, so I'll just do a bit of a light degrease on that, and we'll take that in tomorrow with the pistons. And then on the head, started the initial clean-up, which is okay, and I've also done a quick glass plate grind on the gasket surface, and actually it looks okay. I can't see any significant low spots. There's a little bit round there, as you can see, but nothing drastic. So we'll get ready to put this into the ultrasonic cleaner when that's warmed up. One thing I have noticed, which I've not seen before, let me see if I can show you this. Whereabouts is it? Centre cylinder, there we go. Courgesill. I presume that's something to do with the casting. And also we've got down, where are we? Down there. JK patent number 697854, and then initials all over the place. TW there, PT over there, there's an A there, there's an E down there. So I presume these are just stamps of engineers that worked on it originally, and something to do with the casting as well, but I'll look that up now while we're waiting for the cleaner to heat up. It's going to take a while. It's a nice big cleaner, 30 litres, but it takes a long while to heat up, so might put the barrels in there at some point as well while it's hot. Okay, both items have now had a good bath in the ultrasonic cleaner, and they've come out really well, actually. So pleased with that. And the barrels too. So they're all ready. Here's one of the pistons to go over to the engineers today for a rebore. So what we'll do is we'll leave it there, and in the next episode we'll hopefully have the barrels back, and we'll also put the new valve guides in the head. It's now Friday, and they've said that it'll be about a 4-day working day turnaround on the barrels, so in about a week's time should be able to pick those up. Right, for this part then we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Oh, actually no, tell a lie. Right, I've got an update with respect to these markings or impressions that we found on the head. They're upside down now. But basically Courgasil and a patent number. That's from the original head gasket, which wasn't copper, and which I never realised. And I've managed to find a new old stock one on eBay, which is on the way. So I'll show you that when it arrives, and that might also explain why, you know, I was a bit confused by this head gasket in the original gasket set, which is quite a lot thinner. Looking up some details on the net with respect to these original gaskets, they appear to be more like a sort of a steel shim. But the implications are that if you do change it for these thicker copper gaskets, which has obviously been done in this case, then there are implications for the pushrod tubes sealing, because everything, including the head and obviously the rocker boxes, are going to sit a little bit higher. So that's quite interesting, really. So we'll have a look at that when that arrives, and that should arrive then before I get the barrels back. So that's definitely it now. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. See you in the next episode, and take care. See you all again soon. Cheers. Bye bye.